We're walking onto the field against... Wait, how many helicopters and how many mechs? Oh, yeah. Defler. Defler did this. This has got Defler written all over it. Here we are, same list as before, but with a little bit more experience on how to use the Titan II. Meanwhile, my brother has thrown on with all that stuff. Oh my gosh. Now, he's rolling a proper, heavy Intersphere list. He's got a good amount of flankers out of those helicopters, and he's got more assault mechs, or at least heavy armor, than I. So I can't make a stand-up fight to him because I am going to play the heavy elite game. I'm playing for quality versus his quantity, and I'm not going to engage him in the open field with that Titan II, so help me. So my strategy is completely around that. We're going to see where his helicopters are. We're going to try to avoid engaging them in some sort of long, drawn-out, high-mod combat, because it's just one I'm not going to win. I'm going to wait for him to get close, take him out as they present themselves in useful firing solution, and just don't engage his assaults, or at least just stay out of the line of fire of that Warhammer and Devastator for as long as possible. Of course, I talk my opponent up. I try to make it sound like we're going to make some sort of dastardly duel out in the desert, but it's one that as a former clan player, or at least as an elite pilot, you just don't do. Just do not do it against the Intersphere. The Taurians are already starting a broad encirclement maneuver in this mission, which is just a meeting engagement. It's typical Rock'em Sock'em robots. Just show up, put the other guy in forced withdrawal, go home, sort of thing. And he's drawing wide with those helicopters. I keep, baiting him forward, or at least trying to give him a place to put his helicopters so that he can, think he's got some sort of flanking maneuver, and, because so I can just go just as planned later on in some sort of convoluted plan that somehow works in my favor. See? Anime jokes. See, I'm relevant. I'm with it. I'm hip. I'm one of the kids. I just, I'm cool. How old is that anime? As of the recording of this, that was what, 2005, 2007? That's ancient in anime terms. But I do love me some Death Note. And with the Gambit in play, I have no intention of engaging his assault mechs, or at least that heavy in the assault. So I immediately turn around with the Titan. I begin moving back, because that little hill is going to save him, or at least it's going to be where I'm going to do all my maneuvering. He moves the Karnov back there, lands, and starts dismounting the Asturians, and generally making the warriors a very intimidating target. But I make his Karnov even more intimidating as I do a death from above, from way across the board, as the Breda leaps over onto the landed helicopter, because, we thought about it, what were the odds, what was going to happen, but we have mounted infantry landing on top of a helicopter that's dismounting infantry, and potentially infantry are going to be swashbuckling each other on an active mech. That's just too cool not to do. But of course it goes without saying, there are better ways to kill a helicopter than jumping on it. Nonetheless, he does what is arguably a short-sighted thing to do if you follow the Battletech forums advice regarding the Warrior H7, and starts getting real close, and he starts unloading with the SRMs. He's going to do a lot more damage at close range with the SRMs on the Titan II, but I think the general consensus is that the Warrior H7 works better at range, using its AC2 and just having such a range and to hit mod that there's no reason to shoot at it because it's impossible to hit. But he gets close and starts unloading, and because he's that close, I can turn around and have a pretty decent mod on him from the Streak SRM-6 and the medium laser off the Titan. And the Titan's going to actually hit him with it, and he's going to end up completely coring off the rotor on one of them and put it immediately into force withdrawal with one structure point to call for itself. And sadly, though, it would have been really cool if it happened, the death from above does not connect on the Karnov. Oh, sad faces. But it was a nice try. How often is that really going to happen? Death from above on a helicopter? I mean, I had to try it. Taurians lose initiative, begin pressing up through the mesas, and again, I'm not going to have any part of that. So I immediately turn around and just let them keep going with it. Just let them fall back with the helicopter, pull away with the Karnov, take off, and I'm just going to make the Titan turn around and walk behind that rocky outcropping. There's some Asturians back there that I can go there and just shoot up. And, you know, game willing, shoot at a helicopter for a few turns. I also got the Preda, which is also a bonus. I really gotta love that Preda A. That improved jump jets at 8. I mean, it moves just fast enough and far enough that you're going to get like a +4 mod on it on every turn. Improved targeting computer on it too. So just have it jump around, harass the hell out of everything on the board. And in this case, it's fast enough to make an impressive dent on the helicopters, chasing them down. And in this case, getting in the rear arc of the Warrior H7. Not that it really needs to. Not because the lasers don't already soften it up, but the Titan II is capable of just turning around, plugging it full of streak SRMs, and then just hitting it with the medium laser, putting it down outright. We don't have to worry about no stinking force withdrawal if the crew has been plastered all over the field. Gotta love that burning helicopter. The person that Defler had played before is lamenting quite a bit about how he could not shoot those things down. They were both playing a fast maneuver game, and they had a whole lot of whiffs. There was kind of a subtle joy that I had just completely emaciated his forces. Or at least that's what he thought. I mean, there's still the untouched Devastator and that Warhammer moving around the corner, which is interesting. The Devastator's the export model. It's lousy in every way that the Devastator's awesome. You should check it out. Karnov finds a juicy place to land. Again, I can go inflict a lot of pain on it, and he's tempting me to go out there and do it, but I see through those shenanigans, and I decide to back up, play the safe game, go on and take on the Asturians. I move the Titan IIe back behind the hill. I was very aware that the Asturian infantry can actually move 3 hexes, but it wasn't clicking in my head when it happened, and he moved the infantry right into the hex of the Titan. So the Titan is now dealing with a bunch of little ankle biters chucking charges at the record sheet, and he doesn't realize that, or at least Defler's not realizing that I'm sweating bullets because that thing holds ammo in its legs. Why? Nonetheless, we end up toasting off 2 of the infantry squad members in this turn. The Asturians try to make their anti-mech attack. They miss. Thank the dice for that one. And we've bought ourselves just a little bit more time. Again, we have no intention of engaging those assault mechs. Or at least, again, the Devastator and the Warhammer. Karnov takes off again, and because it has that ECM bubble, he's generally making every other turn a little bit more annoying than the last. And he also has lasers shooting out the sides, because nothing says transport helicopters like, you know, mech-capable anti-vehicle weaponry. This battle mech is widely regarded as being an Inner Sphere classic. However, it was never built there, and it wasn't even used by people from the Inner Sphere. Can you name what it is? Yeah, this throwback is actually a rather bizarre one. It's the Imp. It was built by the Wolf's Dragoons, designed as one of the first domestic mechs made by Clan Wolf. Infantry, as well, dismounted. The phalanx dismounted out into the open field. They are baiting out the Warhammer. We don't want those 2 units to move with each other. If at anything, I want the Devastator and the Titan to engage each other mano a mano while the Warhammer tries to take on the infantry. And, of course, Defler doesn't really think anything of it. He's thinking that they're just little battle armor and I can outrange them, right? Unfortunately for him, though, the Phalanx is a rather nasty customer, especially with it's within that 9-range bubble. They open up with their little itty-bitty Gauss rifles. Yeah, okay, there's like 3 points. Then they open up with the SRMs. Connects! Dealing 24-odd damage to the mech. It completely takes him by surprise. Staggers the Warhammer, but he will pass the PSR. Meanwhile, on the other side of the hill, we don't have the time or energy to swat down that Karnov because there's infantry crawling all over the Titan II, making more anti-mech attacks. The anti-mech attacks hits. They go to roll for damage and hits the lower leg actuator. Oh, I was so grateful. There was 1 in 3 chance that it's going to damage something more important than that. I mean, 2 of the bins down there are ammo. But in return, the Asturians are completely killed. Which, you know, that's great. You can see up there I'm still stacking all the dice because we're still resolving the shot for the phalanx. And Deffler's like, what? What? Is this battle armor? You did how much damage? Yep. The phalanx BA is, if you think of them as kind of like a SRM carrier, they're really nice. The beginning of the turn, I begin moving the infantry away from that conflict because at least he now knows what they can do and what kind of damage they can, and so the Warhammer can kite them along if he really wants to, and just moving them back there by the mountain actually puts them in a much safer position. I am screwed by the card initiative that we were using in this game. I move the Preda forward, trying to find a healthy, safe place to be for the turn, and also puts it into a very threatening position in case the Devastator keeps moving forward. He responds in kind by pushing the Warhammer up right into its face. Devastator swings around anyway, and the Karnov swings into the back of the Preda, but the Preda is going to duck, dodge, dip, and dive, and generally not get hit by anything. Which isn't what we can say before the Asturians, which ends up taking it on the face from the Phalanx, which opens up with their other SRM bin, their last shot, and carpets the entire formation, killing not as much as you would think. We actually strip off all the armor for all the soldiers, but manage to kill no one. In a feat of statistical averages, I guess. I mean, everything went. There was no lopsidedness. It ended up being the Phalanx guns, those little baby Gauss rifles, that ended up killing 2 guys. Titan 2E, however, is still in a nice position. He can't move very far, but he does have a nice line of sight. He is not going to engage that Devastator, even though I can, you know, taunt it along, or at least imply that I'm going to engage it sooner or later, but no, not going to happen. We can see the Devastator. He turns around, takes a shot with the heavy PPC, as well as other things. The PPC is the only thing that connects, and hits him. Through armor crit. Tags the gyro, puts him down. Hey, Titan, come out to play. Or at least that's what he really wants me to do with that Titan. I'm not going to do it while just kind of, you know, laugh and sip my tea at that poor Warhammer falling over from the first good shot it's got all game. And I really do not want to engage that Devastator, so help me. So I begin backing the Titan off. I pick the 1 hex he can get to that forces him to at least run to get me if he needs to. Warhammer, on the other hand, tries to get up several times and just keeps messing himself up. Up and down, failing every PSR. Preda sees his opportunity, turns around, starts walking around, and he's going to activate that targeting computer, and we're just going to start opening up the torso on that thing because it is pretty dinged up. Devastator doesn't do what I'm expecting, turns around, tries to help his buddy, while that nasty Karnov, if I didn't have anything better to shoot at, I'd probably shoot it down by about now. Which that's always the thing. That was the entire reason I was hiding back there, because I wouldn't have anything better to shoot off. And he literally chose the fate for that Karnov, because now that I'm not shooting at the Devastator, guess what? Open up with the MMLs, with the LRMs, tag the Karnov several times, Blamos! It goes right into the ground. All the helicopters died, and a resounding cheer came from his previous opponent. And even though the Preda actually did a lot of damage to that Warhammer, it wasn't quite enough to do anything significant. He's still alive and kicking. So he's still something to be concerned about. But I've been talking up a storm about the Titan 2. We've been doing a lot of damage in the last game. We're going to do a lot of damage in this game. It's effectively been equalized. The Devastator takes up the challenge, runs around the corner, laughing the entire way about how he's going to go mano a mano. And I'm, bring it on, man, bring it on. As he rounds the corner to take his shots. Preda keeps the Warhammer busy as he continues to move around and keep him generally preoccupied. The Phalanx is no longer really useful to do much of anything. And the Titan II opens up with everything in the kitchen sink. 4 medium lasers, 2 MML9s, the small lasers thrown in for good measure, heavy PPC, completely rips open the Devastator, leaving it in one piece. It's an assault mech. I haven't really been shooting at it, but it's really hurting for damage. Devastator returns fire and misses with almost everything. AC-10, 2 large lasers, medium laser, completely misses and kills the frickin' Titan II! Of all the shots, one of the large lasers hits the head and followed up immediately by another medium laser. The Titan II was completely unhit up until that point. Barring a little bit of leg damage, of course. I suppose it's what I get for talking it up, or at least trying to act all macho. So I take my vengeance out on the Warhammer, manage to give it another PSR, which it obviously fails, completely hurting itself again in the process. But justice is done, as the damage is so extensive to the Devastator that he falls over again. Successive pilot hits and another one falling down renders the poor thing unconscious. The infantry is right there to do all the dirty work that's necessary, and I still have a functioning mech, whereas he has 2 mechs that are currently unoperable. He goes ahead and calls it. It's a victory for the word of Blake! How about that? This has been an Ouchies Batrep. Thanks for watching.
Keep fighting to the death. Da, 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 da. Oh.
Equals to head. And 5 points. To head. Dead.
8 plus 5.
Yeah!
Look at that. It's pristine.
Fully armed and operational.
And you know you lucked the hell out.
Yeah, there was no superior planning on rolling double box cards.
Because look at
I will double box cards. Back to back.
Okay. Look at the statistics. What you're doing? You're talking about. Oh, I'm going to really wreck your stuff, right? You did it now. 24 damage? No, wait, 29 damage. And how much did I do?
Fully armed and operational.
It always comes down to that. It's a repeat of the act.
My Devastator turned off his targeting computer when it saw that exhaust. When they load those
It's a repeat of the Axeman versus Massacre.
Why does it sound like somebody just came across this comm units and used the